One, tight fender-banging action that its fans have grown used to over the course of more than 3 decades. And two, by the consistent success of the Rocket Sports Racing Team. Paul Gentilozzi and Bill Saunders.
The team is professional, and everybody lifts everybody else. And if everybody's challenging, if everybody's working, and Paul challenging us all, gives us all a big lift and a lot of confidence.
They streaked through the first half of the season, and today they look to put the finishing touches on the most difficult part of the schedule, the 4th race in as many weeks.
That's the gut check. If you can put your guys in a couple of vans and travel from Grand Rapids to Three Rivers to Watkins Glen and then back here without having them kill each other, then you got a pretty good race team.
Now, logic suggests the Rocket Sports pair is better suited than any other team in the field to survive that stretch, but there are challengers lurking, just waiting for their chance to seize a victory. A warm August. Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the home of Road America, one of the nation's legendary road courses. Our coverage of the NTV Trans Am Championship here on TNN Motorsports. Hi again, everybody. I'm Rick Benjamin alongside 89 Series champion Dorsey Schrader. Round 11 of the 1998 season. 3 races to go. Dorsey, this has been an incredible year for Rocket Sports Racing. Bill Saunders and the team leader, Paul Gentilozzi.
Well, it has indeed. You know, with the exception of the fluke win in the rain that Lou Gelati claimed at Lime Rock, they have won every single race.
The points battle pretty much in the bag for Gentilozzi at this time. If he leaves Road America gaining 32 more points, which he certainly can do, he'll clinch his first ever Trans Am Championship. His teammate Saunders, well, he's second in the standings. He contributed a lot last week at Watkins Glen. He had to start from 43rd on the grid, shotgun on the field, came all the way through to finish 6th.
Well, 3rd place in the points and the leader in the point battle for Rookie of the Year honors is Chris Neville. And in 4th is John Miller in the PLC Direct Camaro. Now, the only Ford-mounted driver in the top 5 in 5th place is Brian Simo. But when you talk about Elkhart Lake, 2 things come to mind. One, it's the longest road racing track these Trans Am cars run at 4 miles in length. It takes 2 minutes and 11 seconds to complete a qualifying lap here. Now, it's long straightaways. Drafting becomes very important, and it's got a couple of very fast corners. The Carousel and the Kink, scariest in North America. If you get it wrong there, you're probably not coming back. It's really hard for a driver to put more than 1 lap together here because the track's so long. You could be in the middle of a qualifier and someone else spins out. Your day's done.
Really tough for rookie drivers who come here for the first time in a Trans Am car. Only 1 practice session. You have to get acclimated to everything pretty quickly. For a young driver like Chris Neville, that meant for a hectic practice period.
I'm a rookie, so every time I go to even tracks that I've been to, it's different in a Trans Am car. I pretty much have to get out there and learn everything from scratch. So it takes a little bit of time doing that, and then just trying to assess what the car's doing and trying to make the car go faster.
How bad's the push? It's pretty bad.
We do have to make changes. If we don't make changes, we aren't going to make the car go any faster. And I just have to find out what the limits are of the car and what the car is going to do when I exceed those limits, so then we can make changes to try and make the car work better.
Jim, I'm going to come in. I'm going to fit in right now. And the car's still, there are a couple bumps, not even on the curbs, and I'm not hitting in a couple of the corners. They're still staking the rear end around and getting us a little bit loose.
10-4. Come in, take the deck lid off.
So we were pretty far off when we first went out this morning. Car wouldn't turn at all. Chris made about 3 or 4 laps, came in. We made some major changes in pit lane, sent him out, and the car responded pretty well.
You put bump or rear rebound in?
I took bump, 4 clicks of bump out.
I think we've got a pretty solid car, and hopefully tomorrow we'll just have a good race and hopefully get a top 5 up, but maybe get on the podium.
Good job, Chris. Good job.
Good job indeed for Chris Neville, as he will start in the 5th position. Great effort in the Arco Safariland Camaro. The question, Chris, though, is after spending so much time learning the track in this car, do you now have a car set up to be good for the entire race?
Yeah, Greg, the Arco Camaro was great out of the box this weekend, and we did a little tweaking here and there. I think we got a real solid car for the whole race. We're going to have to pay attention to the left front and probably protect it a little bit, but I think we'll be there in the end.
in the end is where he wants to be. Remember, he's leading in the Rookie of the Year points chase. Now, 2 rows farther forward, probably no surprise to find out that Paul Gentilozzi has another pole. He's inside of the front row, and that 9th pole has given him the opportunity to clinch now with only 30 points. And coincidentally, that's the amount paid for a win. And, Paul, you've had 7 of those already this year. How big would it be for you and the team to clinch the championship here 2 races early?
Well, Greg, this takes so much pressure off the whole team. We can make the rest of the season fun, and my guys deserve some fun.
Paul Gentilozzi having fun for the last 2 races has got to be terrifying to the rest of the competition, Rick.
7 victories already on the season. It'd be hard to imagine that that doesn't constitute a fun year for any American professional driver. Paul Gentilozzi is a guy who has fun everywhere he goes. We're at Road America for the Texaco Havoline Trans Am Classic. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Road America, the place for the NTV Trans Am Tour today. The Texaco Havoline Trans Am Classic field has fired. 35 cars will take the green here in a couple of moments. But we were with you a couple of weeks ago from Trois-Rivières in Quebec, Canada. There was a frightening incident early in the race. A young driver named Doug Mayer plowed hard into the wall at the end of the main straightaway, Dorsey Schrader. At first, we were told his injuries were not severe. The car burned significantly. It took a long time to get Mayer out. He said he was okay. A couple of cuts on the hand. Turned out, though, his injuries were much more severe. He had a broken neck. He has had spinal fusion surgery at a Canadian hospital. He's wearing a halo, and he's now home in the States. He lives in this area of Wisconsin, not too far from Milwaukee, and we're glad to hear that he is on the mend. John Miller, meantime, we take a look at the car at the back of the pack, the PLC Direct Chevrolet. Miller had some difficulty. We're going to show you what happened. This is off the end of the main straightaway, going toward turn 1. Miller, during qualifying, going inside Rick Dittman's machine, down the main chute there, past the exit to pit road, and he downshifts into 1 and loses it. Overcooks it, spins back end first, right off the racetrack. So he is in a bad starting spot. He had qualified in the Fast 5. John Miller has to go to the rear because he had to change some tires after that excursion into the gravel trap, and he will go from the last position in the field. We're looking for a start next time around. Let's show you our starting lineup here this afternoon. Paul Gentilozzi and Brian Simo will make up row 1. Simo in the Valvoline Ford. Second row, Bill Saunders, the other Autolink Corvette, and Stu Hayner back in the show in car number 58. That's a Chevrolet. Third row, Chris Neville, the rookie contender, and Max Lagat in the 83. Mike Lewis in the 12, and Russ Thompson in the 92 in row number 4. Coming up the hill, we'll show you the rest of the field. Here we go. Brian Simo on the outside. Your pole sitter is Paul Gentilozzi, looking to clinch the title here today if he can win. Green flag is out. Down toward turn 1, it is Gentilozzi out to a couple of car length advantage. Simo tucks into second. Mike Lewis on the move on the inside. Stu Hayner for third spot. Lewis up for 6th.
Max Lagat got a little bump there in the middle of that corner. He got loose. He got a little help there from Ross Thompson.
Gentilozzi still your leader. Hayner now settles into 3rd. Saunders 4th. And Neville. Mike Lewis is 6th. Max Lagat and Lou Gelati in his brand new young Chevrolet Corvette in 7th spot. We're on board with Peter Shea. We'll have views from Shea's Entrepreneur Magazine Ford today. Also from Brian Simo's Valvoline Mustang and from John Miller's PLC Direct Camaro. Going up the hill now at Road America. There's your second place car. You're on board with Brian Simo. Trailing Gentilozzi. Hayner in 3rd. Max Lagat, this is his home track. He's from the Chicago area in Illinois, not too far away. See Bruce Cavalli funneling by down the hill now. Hard left-hand 90-degree corner here at Road America.
Okay, this is turn 8 you're looking at right here as they come out of turn 8. One of the scariest corners all North America. It's called the Carousel. They're flat out. 4th gear right now, 130 miles an hour. It's a very long corner. Nowhere to go if you get it wrong.
Turns 9, 10, and 11, they call it here. Gentilozzi is still your leader. It takes about 2 minutes and 15 seconds or so to make a lap here under race conditions.
Yeah, and Brian Simo just dropped off the outside of the road there at over 100 miles an hour. This is what they call a kink. Comes on the long, winding back straightaway. They call it a straightaway. There's nothing straight about it. And it will dump into what they call Canada Corner, a good passing zone.
Gentilozzi now working on about a 3-car length advantage. Hayner is third. Bill Saunders with 2 wins this year is fourth. This is only Hayner's 4th run of the season in that Westford Ho Chevrolet, and he's turned in some great rides.
Stu Hayner's a real smart race car driver, and one of the things you're going to have to watch is burning down tires. We heard Chris Neville say he's worried about his outside front tire. Well, the rears can go away too. And one of the smart guys is Stu Hayner. He will be a factor in this race before it's over.
Brian Simo up the hill, the main straightaway, very long here at Road America. The Valvoline Ford in 2nd spot to pit road. Greg Kramer.
Well, a little bit of an update on Stu Hayner. Keep in mind, in almost all the races that he's run this year, he had problems in qualifying, or qualifying was rained out and they went to points, and he'd start almost dead last and use the car up, charging into the top 3. He's starting in the top 5. He could be very strong for the first time at the end of this race.
Stu Hayner up to 3rd spot on the break. Did a great job getting off to a nice jump when the green came out. And he is tucked in comfortably about 2 seconds back of the leader, Gentilozzi. He got around Saunders without any trouble at all when the green came out first.
Yeah, and talk about tucked in comfortably. Look at Brian Simo in the draft. I talked about the draft at the beginning. You can get substantial pull off of another car here. That's 170 miles an hour braking for turn 5 there. Look at Brian looking to the inside.
A couple of weeks ago when we were at Three Rivers, we noted how Gentilozzi's car, the rear spoiler, has been cut way down. How does that affect the draft in a situation?
Well, that's a really good point. In this particular racetrack, that spoiler being down is going to make that Corvette quite fast in a straight line. Where he'll suffer is going to be in the Carousel and the King, and in turn 1. Those are all high-speed corners where the arrow will really, really hurt him. And this is right now going into one of those corners.
Brian Simo with 3 second-place finishes this season, including last week at Watkins Glen behind Gentilozzi. Hasn't been able to break through and score the victory we all thought would come this year.
And he's running out of time, and desperation is setting in. He's good at this racetrack. Brian Simo drives this track well, and I think he stands a very good chance at this racetrack of putting pressure on, as we see him doing right now.
2 leaders starting to break away from the 3rd-place car of Hayner. Heading into the tough part of this racetrack here at Road America.
Little debris down there. I saw the 2 cars run over something on the racetrack and kick it up. We have a car stalled off the track there. We see it off to the right-hand side. That looks as the 57 car of Tony
Paternini from Big Pine.
Well, you know, I stumbled on that because we call him Cement Truck Tony.
Uh-oh.
But Tony Paternini, in fact, has a mechanical failure and is sitting off the road there.
Yellow flag waving just in that part of the racetrack so that the car can be brought in safely. Your leader, Gentilozzi. Brian Simo about 6 car lengths behind as they smoke it up the main straightaway. Hayner is 3rd. Battle for 4th underway. The 40 of Chris Neville trying to get inside Saunders for 4th as they hit turn 1. We'll be right back. Back at Road America, the NTV Trans Am Tour. You're watching leader Paul Gentilozzi and 2nd place runner Brian Simo as they work lap 3 of 25 on this 4-mile, 14-turn racetrack. On board, Simo looks to the inside.
And Paul's going to let him have that. No contest whatsoever. It's a good pass in the brake zone. Brian Simo takes over the lead as they exit turn 5.
Brian Simo now on the point for the first time here this afternoon, starting alongside Gentilozzi on the front row. Gave up the lead as they came off the green flag and down to turn 1, but now Simo has jumped out in front in his Valvoline Ford.
Look at the elevation change here. You come out of turn 7 there, down a steep hill into turn 8. That makes the braking zone very difficult because you really build good speed there, and the front of the car's heavier than the back right there.
Good battle for 3rd spot. Hayner is in that position now, the purple and white machine. Chris Neville got by for 4th, got by Saunders. Saunders in the other black Corvette is in 5th spot, right behind those cars. Mike Lewis in the blue and white Mustang there is 6th. And look at Lou Gelati up to 7th in his Corvette, the young Chevrolet. 2nd time out for that car. Gelati's got a lot of speed, it looks like.
Yeah, he's got enough speed to go right by Mike Lewis there. That's headed toward the kink right there. Doesn't look that fast on the camera, but believe me, that's a scary, scary place.
Now, Gelati qualified 11th. That moves him up to 6th, though. Lewis passed 5 cars already. We take a look at your first 10. Gentilozzi out in front. Simo is 2nd. There's Hayner in 3rd. Neville in 4th. Saunders in 5th. Then we cycle back behind. Lewis has dropped back to 7th. Gives 6th spot to Gelati. And then Lewis. Ross Thompson is in 8th. Max Lagat and Don Sack, your first 10 here this afternoon as we take a look at the 3rd place battle.
And we got a yellow. Look, there goes the hood. Somebody's hood just blew completely off. That is
Max Lagat lost the hood on the 83 car. So it looks like there's been some contact out on the racetrack.
Yes, indeed. I saw that hood take off right as I saw a yellow come out. And that could be the cause of the yellow right there. It is indeed. That's Bruce Quavali. He's off the pace. race in the 44 Mustang there.
Looks like he may have cut down a tire. We'll have to wait and see. Now the car doesn't seem to be bouncing around too much, so apparently some other problem. Cavalli has struggled the last couple of weeks. He had a great rookie season going, but the last 3 races, Dorsey, he's had problems.
Well, he developed an electrical glitch in the thing last weekend, and they've been chasing it all weekend here. They've replaced everything on that car. We see now 99 is in the gravel trap. That's why the yellow Mark Peel sticker has got the Camaro stuck in the gravel there. But back to Cavalli, he's been suffering this electrical thing. They've changed almost everything in the car, and they just can't get it to run.
We're going to show you what happened here a few moments ago. Peel Sticker, a series veteran, the Performance Plus Chevrolet, the 99 car, stuck in the sand at turn 8. And we'll take a look back now, see if we can see just what happened as they come out from under the Texaco Bridge.
Well, this is the hood incident. Yep. There goes Max Lagad's hood flying off right there. That's probably as a result of having bumped into the back of someone and loosened the fasteners up. That will hurt him at this racetrack because of the high speed here. That hood being gone will now create a car that doesn't turn well. It's going to have a lot of push.
Now, Max is very, very strong here, or was in qualifying. We were talking at the top of the broadcast, qualified 7th quickest, likes this racetrack, knows it very well, and he was sitting comfortably in the top 10, but as Dorsey mentioned, this is going to cause Max some serious problems. Pit road, Greg Kramer.
Well, number 44, Bruce Cavalli, coming in, and they have had an absolutely miserable weekend chasing an electrical gremlin that had them well back in the qualifying order. He's now radioed in that there seems to be a problem with the differential. They're going to take the rear bodywork off and try and get underneath there. You can see the tire guys are trying to rotate the wheels, trying to see what the problem might be, but a serious problem in the diff in the backside of this car. And again, as you guys were talking about, he's so deep into this Rookie of the Year points chase, this is the last thing he needed.
Tough break indeed for the 44 and Bruce Cavalli as they take a look at the back end. What do you think, Dorsey?
Well, one of two things. He could have lost a diff or he might have broken an axle. And what they're going to do now is they're going to hold one of those wheels, try to spin the other, and see if it's twisted off an axle on one side or if the diff is disengaged for some reason. But in any event, he's in trouble.
Bruce Cavalli second in the Rookie of the Year point standings behind Chris Neville now. Coming into today's competition, 25 points behind, and the way things are going, he is not going to gain any ground. Take a look at the 50 car, Bruce Nesbitt's automobile. They have really been working hard this weekend. Yesterday, Dorsey Schrader, you and I were watching practice from the backside of the course. We thought there was a barbecue going on over there. It turned out the car was on fire.
Yeah, they were barbecuing a Mustang. He had left an oil line loose, or I shouldn't say he did, but his engine man left an oil line loose, and the oil got on the headers, and he had a pretty good fire going when we saw that.
They worked very hard to clean that car up and repair it and get it back in racing trim. They put the hood back on the machine, and Bruce Nesbitt expected to come back on the racetrack. Meantime, Mark Peel Sticker's gotten hauled out of the kitty litter, and he's back on the racetrack. No doubt he'll have to come to the attention of his crew on pit road. 3 laps are complete at Road America. 22 remaining. Brian Simo, your leader, and we're about ready for a restart. Back at Road America, the NTV Trans Am Tour this afternoon. Great to have you with us. I'm Rick Benjamin. Dorsey Schrader is alongside. Greg Kramer's on pit road. Restart leader will be Brian Simo, who is a very busy guy off the racetrack. He's the co-owner of No Fear, the sportswear clothing manufacturer that's had such success in recent years. Our Genevieve Marie talked to him.
Thanks. Many of the drivers in the NTV Trans Am series didn't get their start until they could afford it when they became CEOs and heads of companies. But one driver was racing long before he became the founder of one of the largest sportswear companies in the world. In fact, it was racing that inspired him to create No Fear. Racing has always been a part of Brian's life, long before he and his twin brother Mark founded No Fear 8 years ago. They cleverly call the clothes and gear, like these new racing shoes, souvenirs of the No Fear experience.
You know, you learn things from racing, and you create all sorts of relationships and friendships and different understandings. I think that a lot of people aren't privileged to. Being in a racing world means that you're competitive, means that you're focused, and all those things add to business. We use racing in a lot of our analogies of how we run our business. We're a high-performance business.
Brian believes he's able to run this mega multi-million-dollar global company so smoothly and find the time to race is because of his trusted staff of 250. That, coupled with a happy home life, he's married with a baby on the way, enables him to focus 100% on his racing.
I've been surrounded by such great people. To be a teammate with Dorsey Schrader for as long as I have been, and to be able to be a teammate with Ron Fellows and Boris Said, you learn so much, so fast. I've lived in their footsteps, and it's been exceptional learning.
Exceptional indeed. Brian Simo, the race leader, getting ready for the restart. Maybe he can score his exceptional first career Trans Am win here this afternoon. Let's go back to pit road, get an update. Greg Kramer.
Things aren't looking real good for Bruce Valley. They swapped out the axles, hoping it might be a fairly simple fix, all things considered. They got that done. That wasn't it. It's still something seriously wrong with the rear end. They think the pinion inside the diff may have fried. They're probably going to have to push it. They're going to see if they can get him going, and but they're not very optimistic at this point. This is really hurting that Rookie of the Year for him, as well as his run in the points chase. He wasn't that bad overall.
Bruce Cavalli's had a couple of great finishes this year, but one will apparently not come here today. He's missed at least one lap with his trouble on pit road. Looking for a restart next time around. Brian Simo will have the restart pole. Gentilozzi will line up second. AC Stu Hayner's 58 car in third. Then Chris Neville, who made a nice move to get by Saunders, who will go fifth on the restart. Look at Lou Gelati, up from 11th to 6th in the yellow and black machine, the 28 car. That is now a Corvette. Remember, Gelati won the Lime Rock round of the NTV Trans Am this year, back Memorial Day weekend in his Mustang. He told us he was going to bring the Corvette out, figuring if you can't beat Paul Gentilozzi, you might as well join him. He thinks the bodywork is a huge advantage. As we take a look at the second half of the first 10, Mike Lewis, Don Sack up to 8th, Max Legade back to 9th now, and Ross Thompson in 10th. Thompson certainly an interesting story, a young driver, a pro with a lot of potential. Had a frustrating go here these last several events in the NTV Trans Am Tour. We look at Max Legade's machine with that damaged front nose piece. Can he run at competitive speeds, Dorsey, without the hood?
I'm surprised, since they've had a yellow here and such a long yellow, that they haven't come in and tried to put a hood on. He can run like that, there's no problem, but it's going to create a lot of push, and it's going to create some drag too, as we see a car that's just run off into the dirt there. I don't know what that's all about.
That's the 46, John Miller's team car, being driven by Steve Pelkey this week. His first career Trans Am start. That's the car that Alessandro Zampedri has run successfully several times this year, but Pelkey apparently going off. Green is gone out one more time. 5 laps on the board, starting lap 6. Look at Gentilozzi on the inside.
He's taking a look at Brian there. He's fought better up, and Brian knows it. Look at Gelati. Look at Gelati back there, 3 deep as they go into turn 1.
Lou Gelati, Don Sack, and Mike Lewis in quite a battle back for 6th and 7th and 8th spot. Meantime, Stu Hayner and Bill Saunders now trying to close the gap on Gentilozzi, who is 2nd. There's Gelati in 6th, Lewis in 7th. Sack with another good run with that Oldsmobile up at 8th. 9th spot, Legade is hanging in there, and then 10th is Ross Thompson.
He's going to lose right here. I'm talking about Legade. He's going to start losing straightaway speed. Look at Thompson getting more top end out of the Mustang, running down into the brake zone.
Lead battle is very hot right now. Simo in the deuces out in front, but Gentilozzi in the 3 right behind him. They've opened up several car lengths on Stu Hayner, who's 3rd. 4th spot to Saunders in the other Autolink machine.
I saw some smoke out of Saunders there. He came off that corner, and I saw smoke off of turn 5 off the Saunders car. I don't believe it was brake smoke.
Your 2 leaders starting to open it back up again. They've got a 1.2-second advantage over Stu Hayner, who's 3rd. There's Bill Saunders in 4th. Saunders with a couple of wins this season, his first career Trans Am victories. And we've had a lead change. Gentilozzi has got by Brian Simo, so Paul decided a couple of laps running second was enough, I guess.
Well, I think Paul's got a huge amount of confidence in his machinery and his situation right now. Brian, listen to Brian's throttle all the way through that. That was the carousel, and he was having a hard time getting the Mustang to come to grip. Oh, he's off pace, I think. That's a pretty heavy lift for the kink right there. Normally that would be just a little feather out, and Gentilozzi is making tracks.
Brian Simo perhaps with a problem. You know, he's been snake bitten all year. 3 second-place finishes, but unable to crack victory lane. We're going to show you the lead change here a moment ago. Coming out of the turn, Gentilozzi will make the move. Dives to the left side as they come to the slow left-hand 90-degree.
Yeah, that's turn 8. He set him up real good coming out of 7. Slingshotted by, went into the brake zone, and took that position, and has opened up about a 10-car length gap in just half a lap.
Brian Simo out on the final turn, turn 14. Past the entrance to pit road, up the hill now, but he's giving up a lot of territory to Paul Gentilozzi. They'll complete 6 laps this time by.
And look at Gelati. Here he comes. Gelati coming underneath Saunders. He is moving up forward in that new Camaro, or a Corvette, his 2nd race on that car. He's going to be right behind Hayner in turn 1.
Lou Gelati in the 28 on the move. Started 11th. He has passed a bunch of cars now. Give Gelati 4th spot. Getting by Saunders there, make it 5th. Yes, it is. 4th spot. He is right behind Hayner.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's the 2nd time out on this race car. Of course, they've run all of the 4 weeks in a row now, so no time to test. He's been developing this as he drives it.
So Lou Gelati in the young Chevrolet machine now. He is on the charge. There's Max Legade hanging in there.
And way back here, look at John Miller, who had to start dead last. There he is in the PSL direct Camaro there, and he's moving up as well.
Miller being shown 18th after 6 laps. He started back in 35th, so he's passed 17 cars. Coming up on Brian DeVries now.
That's turn 5. That's the slowest corner on the track. First gear in these Trans Am cars. He comes out of there first. Up here into turn 6.
Bob Ruman directly ahead in the 23. He's 15th. DeVries is 16th. That would put Miller in 17th spot as they come down the hill.
And I just saw a pass up there in the front there. I thought I'd seen a pass with Hayner being passed, and I think it was Saunders that got by him, in which case there's some racing going on there for third, fourth.
We'll get back to that, I'm sure, in just a moment. We take a long look at some of the cars running a little further back. Dino Crescentini's 15. That's the yellow and red Camaro that you see there. Crescentini doing a nice job. He is 13th. There are your 2 leaders. Gentilozzi out in front. Simo is second.
Still within striking distance. He's back in the draft area anyway, where he can get a run going there.
Wondered if he might have missed a gear or something back there when we were on board with him. Greg Kramer, what can you tell us?
Checked in with Scott Shanky, his crew chief, and they said no problem. Brian just backed off a little bit. They really think this is going to be a cat and mouse game all day today. Every one of the teams, especially the front runners, are running hard compounds all around, but that still doesn't mean they can go flat out for 25 laps around here. So Brian has just backed off a little bit, like they said, a little bit of cat and mouse, and he is all over the back of Gentilozzi now, playing that scenario out. Quick update on Max Lagat. The hood going off the car door, so you mentioned it might hurt him in straight line speed. They're more concerned that the contact that caused the hood to go also squeezed the radiator down. That might be the problem, and we hear he's coming in. Max Lagat is in. We'll go check on that.
Lagat making what we thought would be a long overdue pit stop. The hood flew off that car right before a restart after 2 laps. Meantime, another guy we want to look at and talk about, Bill Saunders, in some problem evidently as we watch Lagat's crew trying to cool things down. They've got to pull some junk out of the front radiator. No attempt to put another hood piece on the 80.
Actually, the whole front end was pushed down, and you saw that was his father Jerry there picking up on it. As he picked up on it, it came back into the original shape, and they poured the water on the radiator to kind of help that out.
I'm starting to think that Bill Saunders may have a problem. Lou Gelati has moved to third around Hayner now, who's fourth. Saunders is back in fifth. And look at Don Sack. He's jumped up a couple of spots. So give Sack fourth spot, Hayner fifth, and Saunders sixth.
That is an awesome run with Greg Sack, or Don Sack, I should say. He's doing really good. We see a car smoking. It's Hayner, who's got some problem on his car.
Lou Gelati, meantime, has broken away from Sack, who's fourth. Hayner in fifth. Saunders in the 8 is sixth. Mike Lewis is seventh. We're still early. 7 laps complete at Road America. Welcome back to the Texaco Havoline Trans Am Classic at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I'm Rick Benjamin, Dorsey Schrader, and Greg Kramer with us this afternoon. Your leader still Paul Gentilozzi. The 2 of Brian Simo has led a couple of laps today. He's dogging Gentilozzi, but hasn't been able to find room to get by again, Dorsey.
Well, Paul's been kind of defensive in the brake zones, and Brian is putting some pressure on. They're running these straightaways clean. Look right here. Down into turn 5. Brian looks to the inside. Paul can't do anything with that. They're going to go side by side through 5. Advantage will go to Simo.
Brian Simo retakes the point. 8 laps into the books. This is only a 25-lap event today because we run 100 miles, and this is a 4-mile racetrack, so not a lot of lap count here. And now Simo starts to stretch it out.
Yeah, there's a lot of cat and mouse going on, like Greg Kramer had said. I think Brian is testing Paul. They're looking to see what kind of speed they can run. Now, they can slow these corners down and run hard off these straightaways, and they won't do any tire damage.
And we've got trouble on the racetrack. One machine is off. Looks like it might be the 92 of Ross Thompson.
Oh,
the 24 of Rick Dittman is off as well. He's been off for a while down there.
Yeah, he's stuck over there in the wall, and that was right there. It was Thompson, you're right. And that was at turn 6. He got off on the outside, got in the gravel trap, and luckily did not get stuck.
Ross Thompson, a very impressive rookie, a driving instructor at the Bob Bondurant School out at Sears Point, the iDream software Ford. He's had a rough go the last couple of weeks, looking for a good finish here today, but he told me yesterday they were chasing the car. They didn't have it where he wanted it.
Well, Elkhart can be a tough place to get your race car set up the way you want to. It's quite fast in some of these corners, and it tends to the car wants to understeer on the entries, and because of the high speed, they get loose off. So it's tough if you haven't been here, and we talked at the beginning of the show, there's not a lot of track time here. So, and of course, Ross Thompson being a rookie, he's exactly playing into that.
Peter Shea right behind in the 70 now. Thompson coming back on the track, lost a couple of spots. He was being shown back a ways, back in 9th spot. But now as we take a look back, Peter Shea back in 17th. So that would probably put Thompson about in 16th. Your leader continues to be the deuce of Brian Simo as we watch these two battle. Right behind them, Dino Crescentini. Crescentini sitting back in 16th spot. So you've got a battle for 15th, 16th, and 17th as those machines come up the hill on the main straightaway here at Road America. Beautiful day for racing. Temperature about 80 degrees. Been nice and cool, and the sun has been shining for much of the day. Take a look up at some of the other machines in competition. There's the 64, John Miller IV. Strong in the points chase. Qualified in the Fast 5. Went off during late qualifying yesterday. Had to change tires, start from the back of the back. He is really on the move. He's up to 9th after starting 35th. So just like Saunders had the run he turned in at Watkins Glen, Dorsey, looks like John Miller's trying to do the same sort of thing here.
Well, John Miller's come all the way from the back, and if you're going to have a track to do that at, you couldn't pick a better one than Elkhart with these long straightaways and the width of these straightaways. It's easy to get passes done here, and we can see John Miller pulling all the way up there. Right there, we haven't talked much about Bob Ruman. He's running there, and that's the competition that's going on with John Miller. It's Ruman in front. A car smoking badly going up the hill in front, and I hope it's not Hayner, but I saw Hayner smoking there.
Stu Hayner with an impressive couple of outings in the 58 car. This is only his 4th start of the season in round 11 of the NTV Trans Am Tour in 1998. But he is 19th in series points. So you know Hayner has made those 3 appearances really count as we ride with John Miller.
Yeah, I wish Stu Hayner could have put a deal together to run the entire season, because he certainly is a fierce competitor and puts on a great show for us every time we get going. We see another car parked off the side of the road there with a truck. I didn't see what car it was, but there's another car sitting there over there.
Heavy attrition here at Road America. The 100 miles is a tough distance at this racetrack. Still Simo out in front. Second spot belongs to Paul Gentilozzi, who could clinch the championship here this afternoon with 2 races to go in the 1998 season. Simo with a good run. He started on the outside pole. This is the second time he's been out front today. Working lap number 10 of 25. Max Lagarde off the racetrack down at the bottom of the hill, heading up the short chute between 5 and 6. Lagarde gets it pointed in the right direction, but he's done more damage, it looks like.
Yeah, that was turn 5. There was a lot of damage. You see the under tray beating around there. He's got a flat right front tire. He's cut down oh, now this is the bad news about Elkhart. He is right now about 2.5 miles from pits, and if he continues to drive on that tire and go to the rim here in a minute, I don't know that he'll make it back.
It's a break indeed for the driver of the Hypermax Chevrolet and Max Lagarde from Illinois. These BF Goodrich tires, the radials, the G-Force CompTIA radials these cars ride on, very, very durable, but when you go off the course a couple of times, even the most durable race tire will give you fits. And Lagarde with a cut down right front tire at the moment. I'm going to show it to you one more time as Lagarde went by another car that's apparently having problems out here. Let's take a look and see. Max working inside the Ed Hinchcliffe Ford, locks up the brakes, it looks like.
Well, he's got a low cut. The tire's down already. Yeah. He got down in there, had a low puncture or something going on there, which isn't surprising since his whole front end's been dragged on the ground. Paul Gentilozzi taking the lead back from Brian Simo.
That's the same spot. They've been working that corner hard, both drivers.
Yeah, that time it was turn 5, though. That time he was down into 5, and it was Paul who had the run going. So these guys are doing the cat and mouse thing pretty effectively, I'd say.
10 laps on the board, working lap 11 of 25 as they go by the wounded car. Rick Dittman again. Let's take a look back at another battle that's going on as we watch the 2 leaders down the hill. Gentilozzi and the AutoLink 3 back out in front. The second spot belongs to Simo in the 2. I'm going to show you Stu Hayner's problems. We're going to get to him in a moment. Hayner in the 58 car trying to hang on to 6th spot. He's got behind him Chris Neville, who jumped up to 3rd early but couldn't stay there. Behind them, Bob Ruman in the 23 and John Miller in the 64. So you've got the cars 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th on the racetrack. Nobody can get by Hayner, who's laying down quite a lot of smoke.
Yeah, that's not good. He comes off corners, and it looks like it might be tire smoke. I'm not sure that it is. If it's not tire smoke, he might be losing a motor. But these guys have not been able to make much of a dent at getting around him.
Stu Hayner holding off Chris Neville. Bob Ruman with a great run going today in the 23 car. One of the privateers, the Senwell automobile. Don Sack in the 10. We need to give him a call as well. Sack up and running 5th. Bill Saunders has gotten back by him now, but Sack with a nice 5th spot going in that 10 car.
Don Sack's impressive today. He's really running well, and he's holding off some really good cars back here. We see that same battle going on with Ruman, and of course right there is John Miller in front of them. It's Neville, and the smoking car up ahead is Stu Hayner.
Sack is 22nd in season points. Missed the first couple of races, had that 4th at Lime Rock, had a good run going at Detroit as well before having problems finishing 24th. Came back with an 11th place a couple of weeks ago as well. So Sack has had a couple of good outings this year, and it's good to see. Hayner still leading that group of cars. Hayner sitting in 6th spot in the 58. Look at Ruman now trying to jump around Chris Neville.
Boy, look at Ruben. He's got more horsepower. He's got more straightaway speed than Neville. Neville is a sitting duck there. Here comes Miller up the inside. Chris is not going to give him the room to make that work. Boy, that's close racing right through there.
Sure is. Bob Ruben had to get out, and it looked like he might have a chance to get around Neville. Neville obviously not running nearly as quickly as he was at the start of the show.
Boy, he didn't have any straightaway speed there. He was a sitting duck. Everybody was drafting on him, and they just went around him. He couldn't do a thing about it. Look right now, Bob Ruben. This is the second long straightaway headed to turn 5. We ride on board with Miller.
Got to give Hayner a lot of credit for keeping this pack behind him, I think.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that car is weakening as it goes along, and that's not good for Mr. Hayner there.
John Miller, remember, is 9th. He is up from 35th on the grid. Hayner smokes the tires, gives ground to Neville. Neville's going to get by him, I think, as they go up the hill, and Neville takes the spot away, and now Ruben. Ruben also will sneak by.
Ruben had to put a fender on him there. Oh, it's an axle seal. He's got a right rear axle seal that's going out. I just saw it that time. That is, I'm talking about Hayner. That car is running out of grease now at the rear end. Ruben had to put a fender into him to take that position.
Wow, some great action a little further back in the pack. Your 9th place driver still John Miller. Hayner is sitting 8th now in the 58, and Miller will try to go by him. As we look at these cars, Bob Ruben with a great move to jump up a couple of spots. Randy Ruhlman rounds out your first 10. We're at Road America. Welcome back to Road America, the Texaco Haviland Trans Am Classic this afternoon, the NTV Trans Am Tour. I'm Rick Benjamin, Dorsey Schrader alongside. Rick Trimmer on pit road for us. Lead battle still very heated. Paul Gentilozzi out in front of the black Chevrolet, the 3 car. Right behind him, Brian Sibbo in the Valvoline Ford Mustang. The Deuce, they have swapped the point a couple of times. Looks like Sibbo may try him again here.
Well, he looked at him. They're using these long straightaways to tuck together, run in a draft, and at the end of the straightaways, almost every time, they look at each other in the brake zone to try to get underneath. Now, the next opportunity Brian will have won't come until the end of this next long straightaway, and that'll be down in Canada Corner.
Now, it sounds like Brian's not on the gas very hard in there.
Well, it's hard to hook the car up through the carousel. It's such a long corner. He's working the gas. He's going from understeer to oversteer through there. This is the kink. Now onto the back straightaway. Of course, it's not straight. It winds along. He's not close enough to make a move on Paul this time. This will be Canada Corner that they break for up here.
Just past halfway, 13 laps complete, working 14 of 25 as we show you how the field is running. Mike Ciappatini and Ed Hinchcliffe, Jim Moyer, Mark Peelsticker, Max Lagarde, 26th through 30th. We'll show you the remainder of the field. Tony Paterniti had problems right off the bat as we showed you Bruce Cavalli way back as well with troubles in his Ford Mustang. 2 leaders, still Gentilozzi and Brian Sibbo. And look at the gap now that's developed. The battle for third had been very, very heated. Now, Bill Saunders has taken over third. He's gotten by Lou Gelati, and Gelati may have a problem because Gelati is nowhere to be found. They were nose to tail for a number of laps, and now Saunders is running by himself. There's Gelati's car.
There he is right there. And I don't know, you know, Saunders in the races he won them by being patient, by sitting back, saving the tires. He might have just decided it's time to go now. But either that or, like you say, Gelati might have a problem with the car. But a few laps ago while we were at break, they were going at it hammer and tong.
They were. Gelati with a good run from 11th up to 4th in that brand new Corvette. Let's check it on pit road. Greg Kramer.
Yeah, I just checked in with Jeff Scaglia, Gelati's crew chief, and he said everything is working great. Lou is very happy. And I said, now, is it that big a deal to put a Corvette bodywork on the car? And he said, well, there's a little bit more to it. Obviously, the bodywork's working, but that is an updated chassis. They took the absolute base chassis for the concept Mustang that Lou was running, but they took a lot of the concept parts off of it and have updated it to full Trans Am specs. So it's a little bit quicker car. The bodywork's helping, and Lou's giving it a great ride.
And Lou and his longtime sponsor, Young Chevrolet from the Dallas, Texas area. Look at this battle. The 40 car of Neville in 5th, Bob Ruben and John Miller 6th and 7th. 3 cars nose to tail.
Oh, it's going to get tight down here. Nowhere for Miller to go. He's got to go around the outside. That'll cost him some time. That was some defensive driving right there. Neville wasn't giving the inside to Ruben. Ruben was protecting against the Miller car right there. Real good racing there for 5th place.
Sure is. Johnny Miller trying to come up from the back of the field. Remember, he had to drop to the rear. Here he goes inside Ruben. But Ruben very quick off the corners.
One of Bob Ruben's best races. Doing a great job right now. Miller inside for turn 8. That's where we've been seeing a lot of passes. And now he looks for a double pass. Not going to happen, though, as they head down there to the carousel.
John Miller gets by Ruben here, so give Miller 6th spot now after starting 35th. So Johnny Miller with a good run in that PLC Direct Chevrolet. Ruben in the Sendwell Camaro right behind him. Up the long straightaway.
And there's Stu Hayner again. That's right behind that group. And no smoke coming, which usually means there's no oil left. It's not a good situation.
So Stu Hainer, who was having some problems, seems to be back at full speed, although he's dropped back to 8th spot in the chase right now.
You know, all my years of racing, I've never had one of my race cars that fix itself, and I don't think his is fixing itself either.
A little behind him, that battle for 9th and 10th. Randy Ruhlman is on the move in the 49, the Preform Line Products Ford. He has gotten by Don Sack. So Sack, who was up in the top 5, has dropped back to 10th now. Hainer still on the gas, although not as quick as the leaders. Greg Kramer, what's going on in the Hainer pit area?
Well, we checked in and asked them about, was it a rear axle seal of some sort? They said, no, Stu's saying it's coming from the front. They really are a little confused. They think that maybe they've got a little leak, a small leak in a valve cover gasket, and it's just pumping up, burning up on the exhaust and coming out. But they're a little bit befuddled right now. It isn't hurting the car's performance at all.
You know, if we watched it back there, it only does it when he goes into a left-hand corner. And, of course, that means it's loading to the right-hand side, and it's pouring out from the center of the wheel, which is where the axle seal is. So I think when we see him go into a left-hand corner down here in turn 5, that smoke will come right back out again.
Stu Hainer, though, hanging on, hanging in. Less than 10 laps remaining. We've completed 15 of 25 tours of this 4-mile racetrack. As we take a look back behind Hainer, who's 8th. There's Randy Ruhlman, who's moved up to 9th, shuffling Don Sack back to 10th. Looked like a piece of tape came flying off the 49 as he moved down under the bridge. Ruhlman, the guy who at Three Rivers a couple of weeks ago had some problems. He and Ross Thompson had that great last lap bashing battle as they came to the stripe.
Yes, they did indeed. Of course, that cost Thompson a little bit of a penalty. The smoke you see in the air is from the left-hand corner, which, of course, Stu Hainer just went through, pumping that axle grease out the right side. So, although the crew doesn't know it, I know it. And here's Don Sack. You know, he's having a great day today.
He sure is. Sack in the 10 car qualified nicely here this weekend. That Oldsmobile has been around for a long time, as has Don Sack. Sack started 14th in the show today. Got into the top 5 in the first 6 or 7 laps. He's dropped back a little bit to 10th right now, but turning in a nice ride as we take a look back up front. Paul Gentilozzi, the Auto League Chevrolet, still out in front. Right behind him, the Valvoline Ford of Simo in 2nd spot. This will be lap 16 coming up this time. Bayer make it 17. There'll be 8 to go as the leaders come up the hill and under the bridge. The cross start finish put another lap on the board. Paul Gentilozzi looking to wrap up a championship here this afternoon. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Road America, the Texaco Havoline Trans Am Classic. I'm Rick Benjamin. Dorsey Schrader is alongside. Greg Kramer on pit road for us. Your 2 leaders remain Gentilozzi and the Auto Link Chevrolet, and the 2 of Brian Simo running in 2nd spot. Paul has let a lot of laps here, Dorsey. He's in position to wrap up the championship here today.
Yeah, if he leads the most laps, he doesn't even need to win. All he needs is a second. He'll clinch here. And, of course, we talked about that before, so he knows that. He's aware of that. And he's got a pretty big gap now on Simo.
2.5 now the advantage. Brian Simo looking through his windshield of the Valvoline Ford. Let's go back a little further in the field. John Miller in 6th and Chris Neville in 5th. They're still battling. Neville in the 40. The Arco machine, you're on the board with the PLC Direct Chevrolet. Yeah.
They got into each other right there. That's the braking zone for turn 4. Actually, it's turn 3, but there is no turn 3, so I call turn 4 because this bridge is turn 4. Now, long straightaway headed down. They're side by side. Neville doesn't have the straight line speed. Miller's going to motor by him, clear them way before his brake zone. But look at this. He's going to fight back a bit.
John Miller from the Tri-Cities area of Tennessee. Look at Neville to the inside as they come downhill.
Neville fought back brilliantly in the brake zone there. He doesn't have the straight line speed. His motor is not as strong as those motors around him. We see it every time we get to the straightaway. Everybody beats him up in the straightaway. He's doing a real good job in the corners.
Neville is 5th. Johnny Miller is 6th. You're on board with Miller in the 64 car. Stu Hainer right behind in 7th, hanging in despite all the smoke that's been issuing from the 58 car for much of the race here this afternoon.
Well, it's only in the left-hander. He's lucky there, like this one. Watch here now. It will not
Somebody
smoke.
off right in front of him. And I would think that he would have to notice that. I think there's something serious.
You can smell it because the rear end grease smells so bad, and that's definitely what's coming out of there. It's doing it every time he makes a left-hand corner. Luckily for him, most of the Elkhart Lake is right-hand corners. That's one thing in his favor.
Stu Hainer, the great veteran, longtime campaigner in showroom stock competition, SCCA World Challenge. His first real run at Trans Am this season. Has a couple of starts over the many years he's been at it, but this is the first time he's mounted a pretty serious effort. Been very competitive. Look at him to the inside of Miller. Can't quite pull it off, though.
Yeah, he was having to think about it anyway. He was going to look in there and aggravate him a little bit. Now watch this thing smoke up here underneath this left-hander. When he gets up through here, it should really come out. There we see it. It's coming like crazy.
Stu from Yorba Linda, California. That's the Westward Ho Casino Chevrolet. and they have been stout all season long.
Now here's where Neville gets in trouble. He doesn't have a good motor. He doesn't have the straightaway speed. We see it right now. He's blocking. He's going to the inside. He doesn't want Miller going up there. Miller's going to go to the outside. He's going to have more top end. But the corner up ahead is to the right. And Miller takes the position.
John Miller with a nice run up the straightaway to get by Neville comfortably before they got to turn 1.
Yeah, Chris has not got the straightaway speed that he would like to have. Look right now, Hainer now beating up on him, going down there, but that's not the right place. This next corner leads onto the long straightaway. If Hainer can get a good run here, stay in the draft, he'll out top end Neville's car, and I think we're about to see that right here.
Lapping by the machine of Ed Hinchcliffe there, the Ford, the 29, the blue, black, and silver car. Here's Hainer drafting in behind Chris Neville in the Arco Chevrolet.
And Neville's not going to give him the inside, that's for sure. But Stu, a good driver, he's going to drive him in here pretty deep and come off this corner side by side.
Battle for 6th here. Hainer trying, can't quite make the pass.
I think he just has to wait, bide his time, get to the straightaway, and then use the superior straight line speed. Not worry about going side by side to the corners right now.
Now John Miller, who has moved to 5th, he's just about caught Luke Gelati. Gelati in the yellow and black Corvette there, the young Chevrolet machine. He is slowed from his earlier fast pace when he was running up to 3rd. Gelati hangs on to 4th. Your leader, Paul Gentilozzi, working left 19 of 25. Be sure and join us on TNN Motorsports next week. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series from Heartland Park in Topeka, Kansas. The Lovelock 275. 2 o'clock Eastern next Sunday. Plenty of hauling on that very tight road course. Hope you can join us next week. The NASCAR Craftsman Trucks return to TNN Motorsports. Gentilozzi in car number 3 has scooted off to a 5.5-second lead now over Brian Simo as the laps wind down. 5 to go for Gentilozzi, closing in on his first career Trans Am Championship, his 8th win of the season. Meantime, we've got 4 cars very tight for 4th spot. Lou Gelati has the position. That's the other Corvette, the black and yellow machine. John Miller is 5th in the PLC Direct Corvette, or Camaro, we should say. Stu Hainer back there in 6th in the 58 cars. They lap by the Dick Greer car up the straightaway here. Behind Hainer is Chris Neville in the 40. So Neville has lost a couple of spots. Johnny Miller and Hainer trying everything they can to get around Gelati.
Yeah, they're trying that for sure. Poor Neville, he's losing it where you can't do anything about it as a driver. He's losing it in top end in the straightaway. These guys just out top end. Look at Hainer trying to have a little look there at Miller. Miller, of course, trying to make ground Gelati. They come out of this turn 4 and they're headed down the long straightaway. And oh, look at Hainer drop 2 wheels off on the exit.
You were thinking that Hainer's car would not live a whole lot longer, but he's hung right in there.
Well, the good thing with these synthetic oils and so forth, the rear end grease that's in there could be synthetic, and they'll run quite a long time nowadays with very little lubrication.
On board with John Miller sitting in 5th spot, trying to get around Lou Gelati for 4th. Hainer smokes it going in there again, but he's not off the pace at all. Looking to the inside, Gelati off the gas. You can see the fire bubbling. Look at the smoke pouring off those back wheels.
Yeah, it's just coming right out of the center of the wheel hub there, and that's the only in left-hand corners. You see his right-hander doesn't smoke a bit, so definitely we know what that is, even if the crew doesn't.
Meantime, Chris Neville in the 40 car has not had the best of afternoons. He's hanging in this battle, but Greg Greenberg doesn't seem to have anything for the other 3 machines.
Well, hanging in is right, and he had actually radioed in to Jim Durhog on the first lap of the race that the engine felt a little soft, and he's been fighting that, as you've noticed, all race long. But he picked up on that right away. He knew he was in for a long afternoon, and he's had one.
Chris Neville rides 7th. John Miller, meantime, up to 5th spot in the 64 car. That's where he qualified, Dorsey. It took him almost 21 laps to come from 35th to 5th. That's quite a drive.
Yeah, now he's got where he wants to be. He's in some really heated race. Look, Stu Hainer coming into Canada corner. He locks it up.
Oh, boy.
He's loose.
He gets by him.
Well, he got punted there. You know, Miller gets into the back of him. A great save by Hainer. And Miller hits him right in the quarter panel, which was a miracle. He did put it around there.
Stu Hainer with a bonsai move to get by the 64 of Miller. And Miller's got a lot of damage to the nose piece on his car now.
That could be a bad deal for John Miller. Although the hit wasn't very hard. If it closes off the radiator like we saw with Max Lagat, his engine temperature will be soaring momentarily.
Up the main straightaway to put 21 laps on the board. 4 to go here in Road America. Paul Gentilozzi, meantime, he said, see you later. To everyone else, here's the 28 of Gelati in 4th spot. Hainer now 5th. Miller is 6th. Gentilozzi just on cruise control. A couple of miles away from his first career Trans Am Championship. Back at Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the Texaco Havoline Trans Am Classic, the NTV Trans Am machines. Paul Gentilozzi wiring the field here today. He gave up the point briefly a couple of different times to Brian Simo, who started alongside Gentilozzi in the front row, but Paul's really had no trouble taking the lead and making off with it when he wanted to.
No, he's only a handful of laps now clear of clinching his first championship, and he's on cruise control. Like you said, he's just checked out. But you talk about a race. This is the race going on right now. Gelati, Stu Hainer, right behind them. Look at that thing, just still smoking like crazy. Right behind them, Neville with a weak motor, and Miller, who's come up from dead last.
As we watched Hainer, Dorsey, the other 3 times he's been out, I think back to mid-Ohio back in the month of June, when he was so fast but ran the tires off the car. I wonder if he hasn't taken his time and conserved his tires to make sure he'd have something for the end of the race.
Well, I had a talk with him at the last race about that, because he had to start a course at the back, and I said, you know, you can get to the front, but you can't burn the tires off, because if you do, you know, once you get there, you'll have nothing left. We saw that at the beginning of the year. He's learned that lesson, and right now he's not done that, I don't believe. I think he's got a lot of car left.
Laps winding down. There will be 2 laps to go next time by. Hainer closing in on the back decklet of Lou Gelati, who has turned in a great run today. He started 11th in the 28 car. Look at Hainer trying the outside there. Off the track with 2 wheels. Didn't have enough to get a run on Gelati.
That was a great shot underneath the bridge there. You can carry that much speed like that, and you drop off over there to an access road. As long as you can get back off the access road before the gravel starts, it's actually a very quick way to do that corner.
But Gelati pulls away. He's got a little advantage, it appears, in straight line speed over the 58 of Hainer. John Miller with a damaged nose piece. Look at Hainer swing it to the inside.
Yeah, and that damaged nose piece is rubbing on the tire of Miller's car. That's not good at all. Yeah, I think right now what you're seeing Hainer do is he's aggravating Gelati. He's going to just keep putting the nose to the inside, saying, I'm going to get you, I'm going to get you. Try to get him off his game plan a little bit.
Is Gelati the kind of driver who can be harassed if you fill his mirrors into making a mistake?
Well, Gelati's no rookie by any means. I mean, he's won 3 world championships in World Challenge. He's had 3 times a winning situation. So, but it still aggravates you no matter how good you are when somebody's doing what Hainer's doing.
Those 2 have battled in World Challenge for quite a while. Many times over the years, so they know each other quite well. Hainer trying to get a run off the corner up the hill at Gelati. This is a spot he seems to favor, but he turns Gelati. They gets Gelati out of the gas, and he makes the pass.
Well, that was something else here. That was a dicey little area underneath that bridge. He got into the corner panel of Gelati's car, loosened him up, and has made the pass. Now look at John Miller working to the inside, and look at Neville. He's going to try the inside even further.
Neville trying to get a spot on Miller. He gets by, so Chris Neville sneaks through. Couple of spots change hands here. There'll be 2 to go next time around. Give Gelati, push him back to 5th. Hainer is up to 4th. Neville in the 40 has moved up to 6th right behind Gelati. And Johnny Miller has to settle back into 7th spot. Terrific action at Road America, the NTV Trans Am Championship. Paul Gentilozzi getting ready to dust off a spot on the mantle for that championship award. We'll be right back. Back at Road America, the Texaco Havoline Trans Am Classic, the NTV Trans Am machines this afternoon. I'm Rick Benjamin, Dorsey Schrader alongside upstairs. Greg Kramer patrolling pit road for us today. Paul Gentilozzi opening up a huge lead. He's now almost 12 seconds ahead of Brian Simo for the race lead and what would be his 8th win of the season and the title clincher here today. The battle a little further back in the pack now. Lou Gelati back in 5th spot in the 28 car there. And the 40 of Chris Neville in 6th. We saw some great action between those 3 drivers of the car immediately ahead of them. Stu Hainer's 58 machine. He's up to 4th, and he's opened up some distance now. Gelati evidently was holding up Hainer.
Yeah, once Hainer put the fender on there, put the chrome horn on him and moved him over, he's checked out now. You see these guys now, the battle back here. It is, now it's hard for Neville. Neville's doing a really good job with a car that's a little soft in the straightaway. Watch behind him. Miller doesn't get much of a run off the corner there. Neville's not fast in the straightaway, so this isn't going to be a good place for him. But look, and just as I say that, he's in the draft. He's going to try to get the position on him out here in the brake zone, turn 5.
White flag will wave next time around for Paul Gentilozzi, your race leader. We're going to show you back the distance now between Gentilozzi. We told you about 12 seconds back to the 2 car. Brian Simo, who's getting heavy pressure from Bill Saunders. Saunders has come up to challenge for 2nd.
Well, you look at that. Bill Saunders out of nowhere. He's going to take 2nd place. Simo must be off his tires. He's got to be out of tire because Saunders was nowhere near him before. So here he comes with 1 lap to go. He's going to try and do a 1-2 and clinch the championship for Rocketsports.
Saunders is 2nd in series points. They have finished 1-2 back at Mid-Ohio. Trying to do it again here today.
Look at the Corvette come off the fast corner better. Brian has no tire. tires left. He's a sitting duck. Bill Saunders is in second place.
Saunders with a quick move to dart around the 2-car and grab that second spot.
He used the highest low corner on the whole circuit, one of the quickest ones, the carousel, where Brian's at its weakest with no tires there. He just drove around him on the outside.
White flag will wave this time by for the leaders. Saunders into second spot behind the boss. Paul Gentilozzi in the 3-car off of turn 14 and up the hill for the white flag this time by.
4 more miles for Paul Gentilozzi. He's thinking right now, please, God, don't have anything. Look at the crew. That's Wendy Gabers there. She's as happy as can be. They know all he's got to do is do 4 more miles without any kind of problem, and he'll win his first championship.
Wendy's been the longtime public relations manager for the Rocket Sports team as long as they've been around this sporting, as long as I've been around it.
And before that, she was my publicist, actually, with Jack Roush, way back in when I won the championship in '89. So Wendy has been a long time.
So you've taught her everything she knows, that is.
She keeps me straight. She's really a great gal. Look at here we go. Miller to the inside, and Neville doesn't make that work. He's actually to the outside.
Neville and John Miller battling it out for 6. Neville has the spot. 7th spot to Miller. Miller tried him, but couldn't do it.
This is the desperation lap. They got 1 lap. They're actually half a lap. They have to make something happen. Here's the long straightaway leading to turn 5. Miller should have straight line speed. He's catching with Neville right now. He's in the draft. He's getting towed in. You see it coming. Neville protects the inside. Miller's going to the outside. We'll see what happens out in the brake zone.
Chris Neville in the 40. The Arco Chevrolet in front of them. Lou Gelati in the young Chevrolet Corvette, the 28 car. And then Miller riding back there in 7th, 5th, 6th, and 7th on the line. And Paul Gentilozzi.
I don't know.
Problems?
It's Paul Gentilozzi in the car on the left.
He's pulling over to the side of the road. I can't believe it. Is he waiting for Saunders?
I don't believe it. All he had to do was go the 4 miles.
No, he's got problems. He's off the pace. He is offline and out of power. Paul Gentilozzi is going to have trouble getting to the line, it looks like.
Bill Saunders is going to win this race. Simmel's going to end up second. Paul Gentilozzi is broke down.
To pit road, Greg Kramer.
It's an engine let go on the last lap. Suddenly the crew, they were so excited, just deflated. They looked around, then word came in. He called in, engine's gone.
Meantime, Saunders your leader, but Hayner is right up behind him. Something's happened to Brian Simo. Look at Hayner putting pressure on Saunders. This is for the win. Hayner to the inside.
And he has got the position. I can't believe Stu Hayner has come out of nowhere and has taken over the lead. We got a half a lap to go here. He's got 2 more corners and he'll win his first Trans Am race.
Unbelievable turn of events. Hayner with the smoke pouring off the 58 car. Gentilozzi led most of the race. The engine let go on the final lap. This is turn 14. Stu Hayner up the hill is going to score an upset win in the 11th race of the 1998 Trans Am season. Hayner under the bridge to the checkered flag, and Stu Hayner takes the victory. Saunders, who was second, ends up second. He had a chance to win, couldn't do it. Brian Simo has problems. This is for third. Chris Neville is going to get third here.
Neville gets by Gelati for third. Unbelievable. Last lap. Paul Gentilozzi, 4 miles. 4 miles. I said he's praying. God, don't let something happen. And what happens? Boom, it's all over for him.
We didn't see any kind of death smoke come out of that car, so it makes you wonder what did go wrong back there.
Unbelievable finish. He was 2 miles from his first career, championship. Unbelievable.
Paul Gentilozzi with the helmet off, the earplugs out, the disappointment written all over his face. Stu Hayner's first career Trans Am win. The crew chief, Mike Seymour, on pit road. Greg Kramer, they must not believe what they're seeing out there.
Well, we were looking up, and as the car came out of turn 14, they looked, they did the double take, and you realized he was in the lead. Unbelievable.
Out of control. Stu is the best driver in the whole world right now. That guy, he is awesome. We planned on running a real conservative race in the beginning. Stu stuck to the plan. He whittled down the lap times. We got the fastest lap of the race 2 laps in a row, and I can't say enough about Stu. I want to thank Mike Peterson and Dale White for giving me this opportunity.
Did you ever figure out what the smoke was from your end?
Nope, don't have any idea. We'll find out here in a couple of minutes.
I don't think they're going to worry about it all that much.
Paul Gentilozzi, we're looking at the scoring monitor. They show him 19th, a lap down because he didn't complete the race. So he does not clinch the championship. That leaves the championship in the balance with 2 races to go. Pikes Peak and then the season finale at Houston. Stu Hayner in his 4th run this year, Dorsey Schrader. They've been good all year. They were great today, and a stunning victory. Neville comes along in the 40 car. has a top 3 finish.
How many times have you heard it said, it ain't over till it's over? There it was, right there, all said and done, and boom. I can't believe it. Stu Hainer did a fantastic job today. He read the race perfectly. You know, that axle seal didn't hinder his performance in any way. He saved enough tires there. At the end, he had what he needed. Unbelievable.
Bill Saunders shown in 2nd spot. Chris Neville coming along in 3rd spot. Lou Gelati will get 4th. John Miller will get 5th. Brian Simo with problems at the end. He drops all the way back to 6th. Let's go to pit road, find out more about the Gentilozzi situation. Greg Creamer.
Standing by with his crew chief, team manager Mark Strickland. And Mark, when did you know on that last lap?
Well, he radioed in that his motor had blown. That's all he could do.
No inclination?
Oh, no, there's no warning at all. It just blew up.
All right, gentlemen, just that suddenly.
Wow, an incredibly tough break for the Rocket Sports team and for our good friend Paul Gentilozzi, who certainly deserves the championship for the effort they've put in, not just this year, but for many, many years. Paul wins 7 races. He does not win his 8th today. He's got 2 more chances to clinch. Meantime, the victory for Stu Hainer. We'll be right back. A reminder to check us out. Our webpage is www.country.com, your personal source for all things country. Race cars to country stars. Check out the TNN Motorsports section on country.com and connect to country.com. Welcome back to Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The NTB Trans Am Tour and an amazing final lap. The winner, Stu Hainer, for the first time in his long and illustrious career. He's standing by with Greg Creamer.
Victory Circle is underway, and Stu, you're going to be heading up there in a moment. You had a 2nd earlier this year. You had a 3rd recently, but more often than not, those have come the hard way. And you win it when you start in the top 5. Way to go.
Well, it definitely was easier when I could see the front most of the time. It was kind of a tough race, not because of what you think, but I pretty much knew what I could do and what I couldn't do with the tires and with all the pebbles and stuff on the track. And I kind of told the guy that I do a lot of endurance racing with, Roger Schramm, right before I started, I think I'm going to do an endurance race until the last 5 or 6 laps. Unfortunately, then they called in and said they were like 20 seconds ahead. I went, whoa, how am I going to do this? So I started picking it up then, and then I got held up quite a bit by Lou. He didn't want to give that spot up very well. And but then at the end, it just seems like everything started happening, and we had such a great car at the end. I probably should have started maybe 3 or 4 laps earlier, but the car was just great. I'm really happy for the whole team.
When you were battling with Bill, obviously at that point you thought that was for 2nd. What did you think when you saw Gentilozzi off at the side?
Well, actually, he was pulling over as I went by. I sort of went by him. He had just pulled off to the inside, and when I went by, and you know, I felt bad for him, you know, because I mean he's a great competitor, and it's nice to have him up there. But I'm glad I got a chance to replace his shoes for at least for today.
This didn't come without some drama. There's a lot of smoke out of the car for most of the race, and Dorsey Schrader had one opinion, your crew had the other. What did it end up being?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it got points where I couldn't see out of the front windshield. It was so cloudy in there. I don't know what was going on, but it was something leaking, and fortunately, we think it may have been dripping on the tire just a hair because it was a little bit loose, and then for some reason it seemed to clear up a little bit. Probably ran it out of oil or whatever. But anyway, it was great.
Well, it didn't slow him up in the result. Stu Hainer's first Trans Am win.
What a great run for a nice guy from Yorba Linda, California. Stirring victory today after Paul Gentilozzi had problems on the final lap. We're going to show you how they came across the line. Stu Hainer, his first win of the season, his first career Trans Am victory. Bill Saunders gets home 2nd in the 8th car. Chris Neville comes on for 3rd. Dorsey, he was way back for quite a while. Did a nice job coming to 3rd. Lou Gelati up from 11th to 4th, and John Miller up from 35th to 5th.
Those guys had a long battle all day. They really did. Hainer, I said at the beginning of the show, that's a smart driver. He's going to play this right, and he played it perfectly. He waited to the end, and he did what he had to do.
Show you the rest of the field. Steve Hodge in the 88, only his 2nd run of the season, comes home in 11th spot. Brian DeVries with a nice 12th, the 3rd Rocket Sports car. Peter Shea, the Entrepreneur Magazine 4, then Dino Crescentini, Leighton Reese in the Pontiac. Bob Ruman, who was up in the top 7 for a lot of the race, had problems at the end, comes home at 16th. Dwayne Grahovic, former World Challenge competitor. That's the 3rd Lou Gelati Motorsports machine, the Mustang that Lou won the race at Lime Rock with, the 6th car. Gentilozzi gets credit for a 21st today. Then Ed Hinchcliffe, Max Legade, who had the hood fly off of his machine. And we show you the final finishers in the running order here today. Let's head back down to the Victory Lane festivities. Get the thoughts of the 2nd place finisher, Greg Creamer.
Bill Saunders, boy, you were in the midst of a brouhaha out there today. What was running through your mind when you saw Paul slowing down, and then obviously you were dealing with Stu at the same time?
Well, that was the problem. We didn't know Stu was there. I slowed way down on the last lap, and that was just a mistake we made because we sure should have won that one. We ran the last lap, I think, 2 or 3 seconds off what our normal pace was because I just thought I had them covered. So that's what you call a big mistake on our part, and one of the big ones we made this year, but, you know, that happens in racing.
Still got to be pretty pleased with the run itself. You dropped back a little bit, then you fought right back into the thick of things, and after what you had to do at Watkins Glen, this one must have seemed a little easier.
Well, this track eats up cars, as you saw, and we thought that if we just ran a pace, but our engine was soft all day. So we just kind of had to just stay there as best we possibly could. And then the tires came to us later on, but I just feel so bad because we let the crew down and the Auto Link folks, and we had it won and let it go.
As he said, though, that's racing. He'll be back.
Bill Saunders collects another second. He's had 2 breakthrough victories himself this year, so he knows how Stu Hainer feels. Let's show you what happened one more time. Gentilozzi off the pace. Greer moves by in the red car. Saunders off the gas. Look how Hainer closes the gap. That won the race for him right there.
He just didn't know it was coming.
Welcome back to Road America. Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. The Texaco Haviland Trans Am Classic complete this afternoon. Upset victory for Stu Hainer in the Westward Ho Chevrolet, the 58. 2 races to go. Paul Gentilozzi does not clinch the championship, Dorsey.
No, he does not. He's going to have to wait till next weekend when they run again. Bill Saunders, of course, he looked good. Chris Neville made up points for 3rd place today over John Miller.
Brian Simo comes into 5th spot in the point standings. 2 races to go at Pikes Peak toward the end of September, and then the first week of October, the season finale in Houston. You've got to figure that Gentilozzi is the favorite again to clinch in a couple of weeks at Pikes Peak, but you never know. As we watch Stu Hainer with that great move, you heard Bill Saunders say he didn't know that Hainer was even there.
You never know. It's never over till it's over, and by gosh, in the last lap, it all changed the course of this race.
Paul Gentilozzi led probably 20 of the 25 laps here today. His engine blew on the final tour of the 4-mile circuit at Road America. So Gentilozzi will go home and regroup and try to lock it up at Pikes Peak. Stu Hainer savoring the fruits of victory for the first time. For Greg Creamer on pit road and Dorsey Schrader, I'm Rick Benjamin. Congratulations to Stu Hainer. We'll see you next time.